Do you ever feel like the world is against you? Everything is against you. The people, your family, your job, your body, your health. It just feels like you can't get ahead and everything is working against you. Welcome back for another episode. We're going to dive into this subject because if you are in this place, maybe it's not all of these things, but at least some of them where you're feeling hopeless and you're like, what do I do? Your back is up against the wall and it just feels like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Let's talk about it because this is a place where the real work and the real hard work has to happen in order for you to heal, grow, and move forward with whatever is holding you back. Now, I'm not going to have a little pity party here because me having a pity party for you is not going to help you, okay? I'm going to talk about the hard stuff here today. And what do we do when we are up against the wall? We have two options, okay? You can either curl up in a ball, go to bed, and allow the weight of the world and the weight of your life to hold you down and have you depressed and keep you anxious and worried and control you, really. Or you can say, all right, let's get up. Let's do what I need to do. As I like to say, take the bull by the horns and let's figure this out. Those are your two options. And the only option that I ever see is that I need to figure out what this is trying to teach me, what I need to learn, grow from it, and have this sort of evolution experience with it. And that is what allows me to grow and get stronger and learn these life lessons that are really important. But one of the things that I find is that a lot of people succumb to these things, don't know how to get out of it. How do I get myself out of this feeling? Did you guys know that depression is a matter of unresolved emotions? Could be trauma, emotions, things that are just kind of like buried and shoved down and you haven't resolved it. That's a lot of times what depression is. Now, depression can also be, hey, there's vitamin and mineral deficiencies, parasites, heavy metals, mold, hormone imbalances that can contribute to it. But one of the things that I learned a few years ago, I was breastfeeding my kiddo and I breastfed for 2.5 years. It was amazing. And then I got to that place where I was like, all right, we're going to navigate away from this. And we weaned and I stopped breastfeeding. And I kid you not, I had the hardest postpartum depression ever when I stopped breastfeeding. Didn't even know that was a thing until I was going through it and I was like, what is wrong? At the time I was married, I was like, I hate my husband. I don't like anything about him. And there's all these things that were coming up and it was heavy. Like I didn't know myself in that area because I never dealt with depression like that before. Had a conversation with a mentor of mine, and he told me that depression is really bringing up unresolved emotions, unresolved. I had a conversation with a mentor of mine, and he told me that depression is really a matter of unresolved emotions, unresolved trauma, like the things that you stuffed down and you're just covering it up. And then certain events or things in your life will bring them out. And so it's not just a physical thing, it's also an emotional thing. And those things have to be addressed. So once you know that, you're like, okay, well, what are these things that I'm suppressing? And I'm really not addressing these. Once you know that, then you can start working on those things. So I had this thought this morning. So I'm like going through my day and this is coming up. I'm thinking about how many people really don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Either you're depressed because of your relationship, your job, your life in general, and you're just like, it's a drag for me to get up. And I watched this guy on social yesterday, and he was talking about, I believe he's on his second marriage now. Forgive me, but his first name is Dean, but I don't remember his last name. Really big influencer. He's like in the Tony Robbins arena area. And he said that the relationship that you're in is one of the most important aspects of your business success. Okay. And I know this for a fact. Okay. So he said that he was married before, had kids with his first wife, I believe. And now he's on his second marriage, but on the first marriage, it just wasn't like their relationship wasn't good, because what would happen is she would nag him about, putting work first, all of these things. And it really drained him with his business and his life and relationship. And now he said he's married to this woman that if he calls her and he says, "Honey, I'm really sorry, but I'm in the middle of this deal. We're about to close it. I'm going to have to cancel dinner." And her response is, "Listen, go finish the deal. It's all good. We'll have dinner tomorrow, whatever." And she supports that. And he said that has made him a much better human being, much better entrepreneur, business owner, much better husband, and a much better father to his kids, because he's supported by his partner. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, that is so true. Because to be quite honest, when I was married, that was one of the things that my ex-husband would nag me on. I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the one that's like, "Hey, I'm building this. I am very passionate about it." Now, of course, there's a balance and stuff, but he would really nag me, and he's like, "You put work before family," like, just like really nagging things. And I knew that he didn't understand really any of it, because he's not an entrepreneur, which is okay, but he didn't understand that. And so there was just this clashing of like, here I am busting my butt, and it's actually providing for us, and it's providing the type of lifestyle that we're able to live. And we're able to go on vacation because of my business. We're able to, take our kid on experiences and things like that because of these things. But that was just not something that he could see, because he was only looking at, oh, I she just likes work more than family, which wasn't the case. I actually spent more time with our kiddo than he did, but not that we're here to like compare or anything. But the reason I bring that up is because the relationship that you're in, if you're an entrepreneur or even just in general, like you have to have each other's back, and you have to be aligned and supportive. And it doesn't matter if you're both entrepreneurs or not. It really doesn't matter. It matters that the support and the understanding is there. And so that was really eye-opening to me when I listened to that yesterday, because I was like, it really truly does matter. So if you are unhappy in your relationship and you guys are like doing this all the time, you got to ask yourself, why is that happening? Like, why are you guys not aligned? You can love someone and still not be aligned. Anybody can go fall in love. Doesn't mean it's the right person. And so are you aligned? Are your values aligned? Are your things, the things that you like and you love in this life and the way you want to build your life, are those things aligned? And if you are not aligned, you're not going to be happy. And there's always constantly this friction there. And I had the thought the other day, I'm like, man, the last few years that I was married, I got sick so often. Like I'm talking like intense sinus infections and crazy allergies. Like I completely lost my voice one time, and I kept trying to figure out like, why do I keep getting sick? like over and over. Kid would get sick. And even my ex-husband, like he would get sick all the time. I'm not kidding you guys. Since our separation and divorce, I've not been sick one time. And I know that this has to do with the type of environment. Like our relationship wasn't toxic, but it wasn't healthy. And so if you are in a relationship or in an environment where you're constantly like under stress or you're constantly trying to fix things or you're really truly not happy, you are going to be sick a lot because it manifests in other ways. So I was suppressing it, keeping it in, wondering, what do I do? It felt like my back was up against the wall, which is why we're having this conversation today, because I think that so many people believe, and I would know so many people believe that, their back is up against the wall and they don't have any options. And the truth of the matter is, you always have options. Okay. Let me give you an example. When I was in the Amish community, I had an option, right? But I could have told myself, like so many other people in that community, that I don't have any other options. And this is the way that life would be. When I was a teenager, I would watch our neighbors and they would come home from work and I would see them give each other affection, a hug and a kiss. And I would always be like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like I want to be able to do that. It was something that I craved and I wanted, but I didn't get it as a kid because that's not affection, like that isn't something that we got, but innately it was something that I wanted. And so I thought to myself, if I get married in the Amish community and I can't even do that with my husband, then I don't want to be Amish. Like that was one of the reasons, not the only reason, but it was one of the reasons. And so in that time frame, like I could have been like, well, my back is up against the wall. And just like they always say, like it just is what it is. And you can't do anything about it. I could have told myself that, but I didn't. And so there was a point in time when I had to make a decision that I want different. And I'm not going to be stuck here for the rest of my life. So I get to decide whether or not I choose to change my life and choose a different route. You get to decide that for yourself as well. All right? There's nothing here that is saying you don't get to decide. And a lot of times we tell ourselves we can't. But whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. What was that? Henry Ford? That's what he said. It's like one of my favorite quotes. It is so true. And so when I finally made that decision, I climbed up out onto that roof and I thought about all the things that I had to let go of in order to take that leap forward. And I did. But I can think of various other times in my life since I've left that I had to do the same thing over and over. I got to choose. When I had my back surgery back in 2017, I had a laminectomy back surgery. My incision is about 4 to 5 inches long. Never been in a hospital, never had surgery, never been on any kind of medication or anesthesia, my first time. And so when I had that surgery, it was the wildest experience ever because my body wasn't used to any of these things and it wasn't responding well to the medications that they were giving me, the painkillers that they were giving me because my body was pretty much a virgin to all of those things. So I go home and I was on muscle relaxers and gabapentin for nerve pain. And I'm home for 2 weeks. And all I could do is, feed myself, get up, and sometimes not even go to the bathroom by myself. Like I had to have help to go to the bathroom sometimes and take a shower, like, because you like couldn't get it wet, the incision wet. And then I just laid in bed and watched Netflix. And it was about 2 weeks in. I'm miserable because I was a pretty active person, but I'm miserable. And I just remember this one day thinking to myself, my husband at the time had gone to work and I was at home all day by myself. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't have a care in the world. I don't care if I ever get out of this bed. I don't care if I ever have to go back to work. I don't want any responsibilities. I don't want anything. Don't care. Just leave me alone. I'm going to stay here and I just want to watch my marathon of Netflix movies. I was depressed. I didn't know that I was depressed, but I was depressed. But it was a different kind of depression. The next day, I have a realization and I went, oh my gosh, this is the medication talking. And I realized at that point in time, that is why people get addicted to medication. You know, a high percentage of drug addicts first get addicted to prescription medication. I can't remember what the percentage is, but it is a very high percentage. They get addicted to that medication, and then it's a downward spiral from there. That's how some people end up on the streets, end up getting addicted to heroin, stuff like needles, like stuff like that, because of the prescription medication. So I had that realization the following day. I was still depressed, but I had that realization. I'm like, this isn't me. This is the medication talking. And I snapped out of it and I like cold turkey some of my medication, not all of it, but some of it that I knew was depressing me. And I was like, I'm getting off of this. And it took me a few days to like fully like snap out of it. But I realized later on that it takes a very strong mind to realize that and then get yourself out of it. I didn't have any therapy or coaching or anything like that. I just realized it and was like, no, I'm not going to choose to live this life. Let me get myself out of it. And I did. But I had a choice, right? Like I could choose whether or not I continue to take the medications and stay depressed and go down that downward spiral, and get addicted to the medication, or I could say, no, enough is enough. I'm going to take this route. So we always have a choice. So my question to you is, what are you choosing? Let's talk about health real quick. So let's say you go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis. You get diagnosed with Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, Graves' disease, like whatever it may be. What are you going to do with that? Because a lot of times when those diagnoses happen, it really feels like your back is up against the wall. And you're like, whoa, like everything is against me. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm doomed. I got thyroid issues. I got autoimmune. I'm not going to ever be able to lose the weight that I want. I feel like crap every single day, but this is just the way it's going to be. And you succumb to your diagnosis and your symptoms. And the minute that you do that, it's like your body has given up. And it doesn't matter what you do until you figure out mentally that you need to shift that. And so I've gone through this. I know because I've been through it. Hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, high candida levels, about 100 different food sensitivities, like insane stuff. And each time when that started to happen and those diagnoses were happening, each time it was kind of like a shock, like, ugh, wait, what's wrong with me? The same thing happened when I found out that I had to have back surgery because of a cyst in my back. I was like, what's wrong with me? I was in my first year as a personal trainer, but I had a choice, right? And so an example is when I found out that I had to have surgery, when I was a trainer, initially I was like, gosh, like this looks bad. I'm supposed to be this healthy person, strong, personal trainer, all of that. And then I got to a place where I realized that sometimes God actually takes you through these difficult things in order for you to become the advocate for other people, in order for you to understand what other people are going through, what it feels like. And until I got to that place, I was kind of resisting it and talking bad to myself, like, you know how we do. And until I got to that place, when I finally got to that place where I realized what was happening, I accepted the fact that this is what I needed to go through. And guess what? It made me a trainer 10 times better. I was so much better on the training floor with people that had to have surgery, people with injuries, had understanding more how that feels and relating and resonating with that, but then also, walking them through that process. I mean, one time like a year or a year and a half after I had my back surgery, I had an ovarian cyst that burst. Had no idea that I had the cyst. And that was brutal. Worse than childbirth. It was so bad. I remember the day I was like in the middle of training. I had gone to lunch, went back to the gym after lunch, and before I went back to the gym, I started to feel like tightness in my lower belly area, and it just, it feels like you have like gas trapped. That's what it felt like, but it wouldn't go away. And 30 minutes after I got back to the gym to like start training and stuff, I was curled up in fetal position on the gym floor, just crying like crazy. And finally, someone called, 911 because they were like, I don't know what's wrong. And anyway, long story short, that taught me a lot as well because I ended up in the ER twice because of that. And so that taught me a lot. And then fast forward, the moments that I got diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, there was always that kind of feeling like, what do I do? Like, this isn't right. But you know what? Every single thing that I have ever gone through and experienced, ever, it has always taken me to the next level. It has always taught me something that I needed to learn in order to go to the next level and then also help my clients better, help my business better. Like the saying is like, you can't really teach what you haven't gone through yourself. That is true. If you have never had hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, it is much harder for you to teach on those things than it is when you have gone through it as well. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't teach on it, but it means that the compassion and understanding behind it is gonna be a missing piece because you didn't walk it, okay? So I had a decision to make when those things would happen. And it usually took me about a day to process it. And then after that day, I was back at it. I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. Got to shift and we got to figure this out. So again, I want to go back to what do you do when you feel like everything's against you and your back is up against the wall? Well, sometimes we get pushed there so that we get out of our comfort zone and we learn what we really need to learn in order to go to the next level that we're supposed to go through. You're not supposed to stay even keeled all your entire life. That's not what life is like. So whenever these challenges come to you, you got to ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What am I supposed to learn from this? Now let's talk about health for a minute here. Let's say you did go to the doctor. Like I had someone reach out to me today and they said, hey, I got some blood work done with my doctor. I've been on thyroid medication for a long time, but they want to up my thyroid medication to a pretty crazy amount, but they're not giving any kind of input on diet, exercise, vitamins and minerals, and doing any kind of further testing to see what is going on further. And she's like, I feel like I want to take a different approach. I don't want to just keep pumping my body full of medication without, fixing the real issue. I'm like, that's smart. So a lot of times what will happen in these cases is, you'll go on medication and then not change anything else. Well, the medication isn't going to fix the underlying problem. It may help with your levels, but again, sometimes you're just spinning your wheels because if you keep going back to the doctor and they just keep upping your medication, it means it's not working properly. And you need to figure out why that is. And so when you think about your thyroid, by the way, if you are someone that is struggling with your thyroid and you haven't addressed vitamin and mineral deficiencies, parasites, heavy metals, other underlying issues like candida, cortisol, those types of things, you're missing a huge part of the picture. And so just getting your thyroid tested isn't enough, but unfortunately, for a lot of doctors, they don't go any further than that. I actually have a free thyroid guide for you. If you go to www.undietyou.com, you go under free resources, you're going to find my free thyroid guide. You go on there, just submit your email, and it will get all sent to you in your email. And that guide will walk you through a whole bunch of thyroid stuff. Additionally, I want to invite you, if you are struggling with your thyroid and you're not getting help with your diet and your exercise and all of that, I want to invite you to book a consultation with me because we can dive much deeper on this. I run very in-depth blood work. And just getting a small portion of your thyroid checked isn't enough to really know what's going on. So I want to run, in-depth blood work for you so that you can have the full picture and do a much deeper analysis. And I can guarantee you when you do that, you will see results you didn't even know were possible. I have so many people that have thyroid issues. They come to me and they were just stuck. They were like eating okay, exercising some, but just stuck with their weight loss, the way that they were feeling. And the biggest portion of that was not knowing what else their body was needing. They're not sleeping well. And so once you start giving your body really what is needing, the missing pieces of the puzzle, they just start losing weight. They start feeling better. They start sleeping better. They start losing weight. And so that is the difference between someone that says, hey, I have this thing. I'm not going to just rely on medication. I'm actually going to take a different route and I'm going to bring all these other things in. That is the epitome of my back's against the wall over here, where you're only relying on medication and not doing anything else, but feeling hopeless, and coming over here and say, I got options. I'm going to do things differently this time. Let me take a full body healing approach and really give my body what it's needing, and then you'll get the results that you want. So to book a consultation, go to my website, undietyu.com, and there's going to be a little link there up at the top where it says, book your consultation today. Book that consultation. I got various options. You can do blood work with a treatment plan, or you can go through one of my 12-week programs, whatever fits for you. Okay? But I want to invite you in there because you always have those options. And I want to encourage you to think about that when you feel like you don't have any other options. You always do. Until you're no longer breathing, there's options. Okay? You just got to know what those steps are and ask yourself, what can I do? What are my options? What can I do? Worst case scenario, best case scenario. What are my options? So instead of succumbing to whatever you feel like is against you, you ask yourself what your options are. When you start asking yourself what your options are, you come up with answers because you became proactive on that. So I want to encourage you, don't allow the weight of this world, the weight of people, the weight of things, don't allow any of that to prevent you from getting up in the morning and living a fulfilled life. Because if you are, that means the world and people and things are controlling you, not you controlling your life. That is controlling your life if that's what you're allowing to happen. But if you take control of your life, you don't allow those things to weigh you down, you're in control. And you know where the first step is to start? Gratitude. And I know that that sounds so cliche, sounds so woo-woo, but it is true. Because when you live in gratitude, healing happens and hope happens. Gratitude brings hope and joy, and healing happens in hope and joy. So one of the things that I have my clients do is practice gratitude. When they're in a place where things are difficult, they're like, I'm not seeing the results that I want to see, like this is how I'm feeling. I ask them to check in with themselves and also ask, like, what are you grateful for? Focus on the things that are already going well, because we always got more to do. We always got more we want to accomplish. But what have you accomplished already that you're grateful for? And what in your life are you grateful for now? Could be a cup of coffee, could be that you got water, could be that it's in the summer and you got air conditioning, could be that your car is running, could be that you got a backyard with trees, could be your children, your spouse, whatever it is. Each day you find 3 things to be grateful for, whether small or big. And when you do that, you start living in gratitude and thankfulness. And when you do that, you don't have time for all the negativity because you've just put your energy towards gratitude and positivity. There's this thing that where you put your energy, you give life. So my question to you is, what are you giving energy? Is it gossip? Is it negativity? What are you giving energy? And if it's not things that are being fruitful, you got to shift it. And you want to give things life that are going to be fruitful in your life. Bring prosperity, love, genuinity, peace. You want to give life to those things. So ask yourself, like, what am I giving life to? Okay. So a couple things here, just as a reminder. When you feel like your back is up against a wall, ask yourself what your options are. Okay. You always got options. Second thing, what are you giving your energy to? Is it things that are giving life or things that are giving death? 2 options. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning into the Lizzie Show. If you're ready to take the next step to transforming your health and life, visit www.undietyou.com for all my resources and to book your consultation today. Don't forget to subscribe and join me each week for more tips, inspiration, and conversations with phenomenal guests to help you feel your best. See you guys next week.